I'm Jordan Valdina. I'm a registered architect and a professional engineer. Designing spaces and connecting people to places they love is what I do. Using the material in this program, my hope is that I may inspire and provide value to you in your journey through our built environment. This is the Architecture Show.
Okay, so this is me without the support, I guess you could call it, or the avenue for how it was being done before with Key Life. I'm trying to get over it and not think you got to move on in life, not try to hold a grudge, but I'm feeling a little out of sorts. But I'm going to try to pull it together. That piece in the last one was crazy, but I think leaving it in there kind of shows something about things, how things can really get on your own or whatever, that I think is kind of in keeping with where this has gone. And so I'm gonna I'm gonna discipline myself here a little, or that's not the right word, discipline. It's gone off the tracks a little, and so I'm going to try to get back to just talking about things relating to architecture directly, and I'm going to go film that shortly, hopefully later today, with the camera I got, which is weird. It's, anyway, less quality than my phone, but my phone, if it's on backwards view like this, is really bad, but maybe that's because the screen is broken, but I don't know,
So, yeah, just want to do another architecture show thing here. I'm just trying to keep it real. So, you know, I kind of feel like I covered a lot of ground. What the listen, okay. And I don't know, the form of things and stuff like that, so it's natural, all right. You know, like you can learn a lot. Like just look at that. It's kind of structural. Has some ridges. Has some bumps, which is just ridges with ridges. Ridges create a lot of strength. There's no redundancy here, but you know it's pretty strong. Like so, it's all right. So this thing. Nice container, perfectly formed. Too bad it's plastic. But we could figure out how to do that out of corn, I think. I don't know. It's like, I think there's an episode here somewhere with like things, structure inside of a structure. There's some thermal value to the thing. This part's pretty natural. I don't know where it came from. It was pretty natural. This part you could see through. Well, not really. But that's because there's like salsa on it. It's like a window, though. Window into another world. Hat. I said that already. Cup. It's like you start to see the universality of forms. You know what I mean? And like what we do for structure. I'm not sure anybody cares about that. But, you know, to find new aspects of architecture. This is like, well, most of our heating systems, not the refrigerant based ones, relate to fire. Burning things for heat. This is actually creating a little heat. This is weird. I found this recently. As you can see, I kind of lost it. Oh, it's falling to pieces. It's disgusting. That's a good evidence of like, oh my God, urethane and foam products have a real lifespan that's not inconceivable. It's not a million years. I mean, in terms of them functioning well, but, yeah, I was going to do like a studio space where I could practice. I was getting all ready, like exercise and stuff, but I never really liked that much. The thing that burns about hair is like thin, the tensile, no, it's it's air. It's air around. It's burning the thing in the middle, right? Like this is a bunch of little pieces of tobacco. This is a bunch of little pieces of hair. That's why it burns so well. If you had it like one mass, it doesn't burn very well, which is like, I think straw bale, we talked about that a little bit. I don't know if I talked about burning with the straw bale. I don't know, I feel like this has kind of run its course. I didn't expect this to go like quite like this, but and you know, we talked a little, I think we talked a little bit about resonance and like frequencies, I think. I don't remember, like, you know, that has like a little bounce to it, that if you time it right, it's more powerful. Money, we talked about the money aspect. Look, heads or tails? Heads. 50-50 chance, statistical analysis of stuff. This is messed up. The people I bought this mirror from are really weird in the first place, which you can't blame anybody, right, for what happened, but I don't know, I feel like they didn't deliver it in the right, I don't know if I believe in that energy, or at least it's more of a natural smoke, but so you have like space and design and what people want that for, of space, but it's for our quality of life inside, right? So I really focused on that part of it. There is certain dimensionality. I think I talked about that a bit, right? Like, oh man. Oh. Ow. Shoulder. Joints. Trusses have joints. There's something to it. So you gotta like look to the whole of it. I think I covered that already. Non-ductile glass. It's non-ductile. It's non-crystalline in form, so it crazes when it breaks. It can't hold stress fractures and stuff. Ribs I mentioned, with like cases of things, and heat. So you gotta kind of look at all of that, which I guess I covered already. So maybe we should get into something else, like thermal efficiency, phase change materials. I don't think we got into that much. Phase change materials. When something changes phase, it absorbs or releases energy at a constant temperature. So spacesuits, you know, but our body does that naturally, and I don't know if we have a phase change material. How we do that? I think we kind of do it with water pumps. Oh no, sweating and evaporation cools the skin because the macroscopic air movement over your skin to a degree, right? And the evaporation absorbs heat, so you experience it as cool when the heat goes into that. So there's something with that, like spraying down, like swamp coolers. I think they use that in the South. So it's my pleasure here to kind of put this in a even greater context. Humanity and how people are doing generally. I know like there's a lot of like concepts associated with an architect or the architecture, and it's good. Man, that sucks. It's natural though. What did I do with it? Where did it go? There it is. So, like if a person isn't doing so well, how is their building going to really help? Well, no, the building can help. A nice building, but what if you break a mirror and don't have the money to fix it? Or you just start trying to film yourself talking about it. Like, Yeah, so, right. This is what I figured I was going to give. This is what I figured to give, from what I know about things like this. Wood, steel, concrete, stone, plant-based products. I talked about that in the primitive episode. Burn it high. Burn your light high. But you have to control, you have to temper the level with which you kind of light the fire, right? So if you keep it more in a range, I think it's probably wise. I think the way that people have done that historically, despite kind of this notion of like the Western partier, is with people who get it. Generally, they're older. They're masters of a sort. Master's a little highfalutin word. Ow. So, damn. Wow. So you kind of gotta like keep it in a range. Otherwise, if it goes outside the range, how are you gonna really like keep it like homeostasis? The body, if somebody's living all right and is well, doing okay, our body keeps like a homeostasis going for us. Phase change and pumps, energy pumps, air source heat pumps, geothermal heat pumps. They use refrigerant that has a phase change at a desired temperature so that we can kind of use it in a certain way, and it changes if you compress it or if you expand it, right? An expanded gas, lower, the pressure drops, and right, then it cools off. So, excuse me, a bigger volume, or you compress it into a smaller volume, and it's hotter because it's the same amount of energy in less space, so it's energy density. It's more about, the whole thing is more about concentration and density. Concentration and timing, cyclical, like how it's happening in time. I think I talked on that a little bit, like in the design process, like, but it's it's timing and energy and flow. Flux is really cool. Gradients, a perpendicular gradient for like optimal transfer across. That's just the way the physics works. Different layers, like a breathable layer, you know, if it's cold, when it's wet. There's a lot of things that can be put together with all of this stuff. And that's why you should involve an architect to help you put that together. And receipt, keeping track of things. You always have to have administration, like a management. I think managing and administrating in the middle might be harder than starting something. Starting is kind of easier, exciting. You got to marshal it. So I think I covered all of that. Hair is actually dead, but it was from living cells, which is pretty wild. And there's all life and death all around us. I don't know if I touched on that, like how that's like arising and falling, and like turning into different things regardless of any concepts of reincarnation or anything like that. I don't think I talked about that. But like impulse waves, like sound needs a medium to transfer through. So if you're like trying to, so maybe like your life is like a wave impulse that impacts other waves, and then regardless of what happens to you, the life forms, if you're able to convey a wave, kind of get something from that wave, but they don't get you, which is pretty much of an insult from the perspective of an individual identity or something, or difficult, or a loss or something. But we lose everything eventually. I mean, even houses decay, stone lasts longer. I know I talked about that. I definitely talked about like a durability, longevity. Certain things are more prone to molding, plant products, and so more decay. But if you have the impulse passing through, a little bit of design guidance, it's kind of like the DNA. So maybe we can do that, pass on kind of like our intellectual DNA. But you can't really access it without work. Work takes energy. Energy takes food for us. not just sunlight, but sunlight powers the whole cycle on the planet Earth. But what's that? Electromagnetic radiation. So there's like pre-existing energy that we have to capitalize on to make this work. So solar overhangs, you don't want too much. That's kind of cool. It's like you don't want too much energy. You want it just right, and you want to kind of align it with the cycles. The summer and the winter are different cyclically depending on your relationship to the angle of the incidence, the solar angle of solar and coincidence. Interesting. Things coinciding. I don't know that's really saying anything. Randomness, I'm not really sure, but we get these kind of statistical arguments which seem to apply even on a quantum level in our way of understanding it. I'm not sure that's a good way of understanding it, but duct tape can fix almost anything. But what is duct tape made out of? That's like another problem. Another question. It's not and so kind of trying to put all this together is what this really has been, trying to put it all together in the greater forces and fields in which we operate. So we're very we're in a great field of professionally and of energy and coincidence. There's a lot going on. It's hard to describe. But if you sit with the actual reason you're doing some of it for a while, it's the programming. We talked about that, really trying to get to the core, the heart of the matter. And be good to the people around you, some of the people you love. I don't know if you can be good to everybody, but you can try. In like sustainability, it's kind of like a gesture to that, but if nobody remembers that you're doing it, it's not even like trying to prove you're the first one on the mountaintop. For some people it is. But bottom line, if you're like passing on a good impulse, that's pretty good. And depending on your priority system, some people just, I think, want power, and so they use their buildings for power, and it's like a machine to make more money, which is kind of really to have more power, I think. There's also like fear-based. Some people might say power is fear-based in general. The will to power, I'm not so sure about that. It depends, I think. What about power to do good? So you want to kind of try to amass the control pattern, the fortifications of the fortress. You want to be fortified yourself. You want to fortify nutrients. You want your house to be healthy, buildings to be healthy in a way. If you care about people, do you care about other people, and in what way? And how do you fit into all of that? That's pretty big. That's really big. So always looking to those sort of things. And all right, that's all for now. Yeah, try to enjoy it.